We have breaking news in the Sandra Birchmore case, and I mean breaking as in this came out yesterday. Matthew Farwell, he's a former Stoughton police officer, he was accused of grooming a woman named Sandra Birchmore back when she was a child and then killing her in 2021 when he found out she was pregnant. Now, more specifically, he was actually charged with killing a witness. And as of October 28th of 2025, which is yesterday, today is October 26th or 29th, he has been charged in connection with the death of a child in utero in a superseding indictment that was filed on Tuesday by a federal grand jury. So like I said, yesterday. So this is breaking news. It's another charge. It's huge. And it's something we need to pay attention to in regards to the Sandra Birchmore case and finding justice and figuring out what happened to Sandra. So I'm going to discuss what was found, what's going on, a little more background on this case if you're not totally up to speed on all of it, who Matthew Farwell is, the history, all of that. Former Stoughton police officer charged with killing Sandra Birchmore's unborn child. This is Sandra Birchmore, that is Matthew Farwell. The former Massachusetts police detective who is accused of killing a pregnant woman is now charged in connection with the death of her unborn child. Now, I do want to point out that at the time, it seems she believed that this was his child, and allegedly he believed it was his child as well. It came out more recently, I can't remember exactly when, that the child was not his child, but we do not know whose child that actually was. The child was around 10 weeks old when Sandra Birchmore died. Matthew Farwell, formerly a member of the Stoughton Police Department, was originally indicted in August of 2024 in the death of 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore. Her body was found on February 4th, 2021 in her apartment in Canton. She was 3 months pregnant. According to court documents, while Birchmore's death was initially ruled she did it to herself, a federal investigation examined old evidence and revealed critical new evidence leading to the charges against Matthew Farwell. A superseding indictment was filed in the case on Tuesday. It adds a count for a violation of the protection of unborn children. Farwell's trial is scheduled to begin in 1 year. So here is where we go into more of the details of this case. I have a longer video on this, so I'll link it and you can check it out if you want. But in 2022, Stoughton Police Chief Donna McNamara said Matthew Farwell, his twin brother, Officer William Farwell, and Officer Robert Devine demonstrated serious misconduct in their interactions with Birchmore. According to an internal affairs investigation, Birchmore was 13 years old when she met Matthew Farwell through the department's Youth Explorers program. He allegedly began an inappropriate relationship with Birchmore when she was 15 and he was 27. Now, I want to point out in Massachusetts, the age of consent is 16. So this would be considered statutory rape. In addition, I just want to point out about the Youth Explorers program, my personal frustration with that, the fact that, young children are interested in maybe being a police officer, figuring out what police officers do and kind of the ins and outs. The fact that people and these children may be subject to abuse in these situations is very hard to wrap your mind around. According to court documents, Matthew Farwell was a member of the Stoughton Police Department from March 2012 through April 2022, serving as an instructor for the Stoughton Police Department's Explorers Program, a vocational education program designed for youth to learn about careers in law enforcement. So like I said, learning about law enforcement, he was an instructor. That's allegedly where he met Birchmore, and that is where the relationship began prior to Birchmore reaching the age of consent. Though arguably 16 age of consent, especially in a situation where you have an individual of authority involved, you have police officers, and you have a program like this, I mean, even if she was 16, problematic. Federal authorities, trying to highlight this for you guys so that you can track it as I read it. Federal authorities said Birchmore was 12 years old when she joined the Stoughton Explorers program in 2010. Investigators said Matthew Farwell used his authority and access to groom, sexually exploit, and ultimately sexually abuse Birchmore and continued to have sex with her when she became an adult. I also want to point out that Matthew Farwell was married and had 3 kids when he was older and when he was allegedly involved with Birchmore sexually when she was an adult as well. On several occasions, Matthew Farwell allegedly engaged in sex acts with Birchmore while on duty as a Stoughton police officer. Do we want to watch the indictment? Sure, we'll watch it.
February 4th, 2021, Sandra Birchmore was found dead in her Canton, Massachusetts apartment. The charges filed today in federal court allege that she was in fact murdered by Matthew Farwell 3 days earlier. At the time of her death, Sandra Birchmore was a 23-year-old woman with her entire life ahead of her, and she was pregnant with her first child. We allege that Sandra Birchmore survived years of grooming, statutory rape, and then sexual violence, all at the hands of Matthew Farwell, who was employed throughout their relationship as an officer and then detective for the Stoughton Police Department. And when it became clear to Mr. Farwell that he could no longer control Sandra Birchmore, he allegedly silenced her permanently. This morning, Matthew Farwell was arrested on a federal grand jury indictment, charging him with one count of killing a witness or victim. Specifically, Mr. Farwell is charged with violating Title 18 United States Code 1512 for killing Sandra Birchmore with the intent of preventing her from communicating information about his possible commission of federal crime.
So that just gives you a little more details as to what he was charged with, the first initial charge, and why he was charged with killing a witness.
How did this all unfold? What happened here? Well, back in 2010, a 12-year-old Sandra Birchmore.
Okay, so he's just going to go into detail, kind of what I already read to you guys, so we're not going to watch it again. But I wanted to highlight exactly what that first charge was and why it was killing a witness, because it has to do with other potential federal charges, other things that he did, like grooming a child. So federal investigators said to conceal the activity, Matthew Farwell falsely represented that he had worked certain hours when in fact he was not working but engaging in sex acts with the then minor victim. Again, this is reference to the fact that he was engaging in sex acts with Birchmore while on duty as a Stoughton police officer. Investigators said in December of 2020, Birchmore learned that she was pregnant. Soon after she learned she was pregnant, Birchmore told Matthew Farwell that he was the father of the child and that she expected him to be involved in the child's life. Like I said, it came out later that he was not the child's father. Investigators said Birchmore told loved ones that Matthew Farwell allegedly became violent with her when they discussed the pregnancy and his role in the child's life. At one point, while she was pregnant, Matthew Farwell allegedly held Birchmore in a headlock and told her that he wished she were dead. Okay, so a lot of these details are actually coming out from a legal document that I have, and I want to maybe do a review of that with you guys. So comment, let me know if you want me to do a review of that, going through that document. It's the motion for and memorandum in support of pretrial detention. Essentially, pretrial detentions are hearings that are meant to assess whether a defendant should remain in custody or be released prior to their trial. And the main aim is to safeguard the community and also make sure that the defendant appears in court, obviously, that there's no flight risk, right? And so in this situation, the United States was arguing that Farwell should remain detained for a variety of reasons, and then they discussed those reasons as to why they believe he should remain detained. I would like to go over that document with you guys, so comment, let me know if you want me to. It discusses a lot of what prosecutors are alleging they found in his phone, things that he's done, all of that. So it gives you a little bit more of the background of this case, what's going on, what prosecutors are arguing that Farwell did and has done. And Farwell has been detained since he was arrested. So obviously they did a good job in their argument here. So let me know. Anyways, let's go back to what we're talking about right now. Federal investigators said on or about January 20th of 2021 that Birchmore's friend called the Stoughton Police Department and referenced Matthew Farwell and Birchmore's sexual relationship. So essentially, federal investigators are building this case and showing that Farwell was starting to allegedly feel the walls close in on him. The fact that somebody at the Stoughton Police Department was called and told about Farwell and Birchmore's sexual relationship. We also have to remember that if he allegedly groomed Birchmore at a young age, obviously very problematic. We have statutory rape in this, and he was married at this time in 2021. His third child was on the way. And so it not only would have implicated him in illegal actions, it also would have really messed up his personal life. So here they're kind of building the case, showing that the walls are closing in on this individual and thus giving him a motive to kill Birchmore, right? Investigators said when Matthew Farwell learned about it, he sent Birchmore angry text messages, and a few days later, approximately 1 week prior to Birchmore's death, Matthew Farwell visited Birchmore at her apartment in Canton and asked her if she could give him a separate apartment key and keep it a secret. Again, this is in the memorandum that I have and that we can look into. So in regards to this, it's interesting because previously the investigators point out, the prosecutors point out that they allege that Farwell previously did not want a spare apartment key. He was not interested in that. And then suddenly, 1 week prior to her death, he was interested in having a spare apartment key and wanted to keep it secret, according to prosecutors. Federal authorities said 1 week prior to Birchmore's death, Matthew Farwell visited her apartment and began looking through her closets and bathroom. Here, they're alleging that he cased the scene. According to court documents, facing perceived imminent disclosure of his criminal conduct, Matthew Farwell killed Birchmore on or about February 1st of 2021 to silence her. And there is camera footage of him visiting her on February 1st of 2021. What's also interesting is the alleged day that she died, Farwell, like I said, visited her. There is camera footage of that. That is also the same day that his wife gave birth to their third child. And he also went to the hospital and was with his wife while she was giving birth. So that's an interesting component of this entire case, and further points to why the federal authorities, the investigators are pointing out, hey, the walls were closing in on this individual. He had motive, right? He had motive to kill Birchmore. So just to round all of this out, before we close out, I want to remind everyone that there are now 2 charges on the table. The first charge had to do with killing a witness, right? Sandra Birchmore. The new charge is that he was connected with the death of a child in utero. And that was in a superseding indictment that was filed on Tuesday, just yesterday, on October 28th of 2025. So let me know what you guys think about this case. Let me know if you want me to go over that memorandum with you. I'll just walk you guys through the whole thing. I will have to cut out some of it, though. I will say it gets very graphic in some instances in regards to the fact that, Sandra Birchmore was a child during a portion of this alleged interaction with Farwell. And so it can get graphic. It looks at the text messages between the two, all of that, and then obviously makes an argument that he should be detained. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about this entire case in general. I'm personally very glad that we are starting to see movement on this case. It has been stalled for a while. I've been waiting for something to come out. I was hoping that some of the information that is coming out of the Karen Reed trial, because it is involved in now 4 other murder cases, maybe we would find some further information about the Sandra Birchmore case. So far, I have not seen that. I haven't seen anything about the Birchmore case come out of the investigation into Karen Reed's case, but who knows? Maybe we'll find something. Maybe we'll see something eventually. We can hope, right? Fingers crossed. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and remember to stay safe and stay curious. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Bye.